MyMac Podcast 903. Same old, same old.
And welcome everyone to the MyMac.com podcast. Gaz, it's being said that the iPhone 14 will have the same look and processor as its predecessor, and in order to get the best full-featured specs, you'll need to jump to the i14 Pro. If this is true, is there really a need for iPhone 12 and 13 users to jump to a new phone? That is what we're going to talk about when we get started in the second section, Gaz. How are you?
Excellent. I am very well, thank you very much, Guy. Absolutely sponrific, as I sometimes say. Yes,
you do say that sometimes.
I do say sponrific sometimes. Yeah, it's shall we jump straight in, or are you actually talking about the fact that we didn't do a pod last week?
Well, we can talk about that.
Okay, so we missed out last week. Unfortunate events. You know, a series of unfortunate events. I think they were, Guy, weren't they? But we were kind of semi-ready, but we didn't want to go half cock, so we didn't. We went no cock. So that's I think what happened last week.
Yep.
With
lemony snippets.
Lemony snippets all over the place. But we're back this week now, and we might have a few more weeks coming up where we miss out. And maybe. So unfortunately, life is just getting in our damn way at the moment, which is a real pain. But there you go.
Anyway. But here's the thing: we're having fun. We have fun with the podcast, but we're talking about we have to miss episodes of the MyMac podcast because we're doing other fun things.
Yeah. And, it's sad. And we're going to stop soon. We're going to stop having fun outside of
there is no fun that's allowed outside of this podcast.
No.
How dare we?
We're going to be sacked. We're going to be sacking each other. I think that's the situation. Now, it looks like you've actually... I'll tell you what, I'm going to jump in first and let you then talk about what you're going to talk about, because yours is quite much more...
it's a little complicated.
Complicated, but more Mac related, because mine, even though I've, not been doing very much, I haven't really been doing a lot on MyMac either this last couple of weeks. I do have quite a number of snippets, not hundreds, because last week the snippet section was going to be quite small, and it hasn't actually increased that much this week because obviously there's lots of rumors going around, and I've tried to pick up news rather than rumors as far as I can. There might be one or two rumors in there. But actually, one thing that has been announced over on the Mac and Forth show is the fact that the Mac and Forth UK contingent and as much of the MyMac UK contingent is actually having a meetup on September the 2nd at a place called the Euston Tap.
So they serve like lemonade, right?
That's only lemonade. They serve tap water and tap lemonade, nothing else. There's no because Carl, of course, has given up drinking. He's a complete teetotaler. He's since he came off his bike, he's not touched a drop of the the amber nectar. Let's call it that. No, so if you want to meet up with a very, very sober Carl and a very, very drunk Gaz. No, I won't be drunk.
At least not when you first meet up.
Not when we first meet up. September the 2nd, 6 p.m. It's nothing special. The Euston Tap actually is outside. So if it's raining, I think Carl's got a plan to go down to the place called the Rocket. I think it is something like that. I can't remember exactly. He's now shouting at his pod device saying, "It's that, Gaz, can't you remember?
It's that other place."
No, Carl, I can't remember. Anyway, there is an alternative if it's if it's inclement weather. There's nothing set up properly. It's just a few drinks. So if you want to come and meet us and you're in the UK and you're anywhere near the Euston Tap, 6 p.m. 2nd September, come and have a look at the size difference between me and Carl, and the size difference between me and Guy is somewhere between those two. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a little because he's like an inch taller than me.
Yeah,
which is really something because I'm like 6'6". So
and what's an inch between
meters.
friends? What's an inch between friends? Well, it's an inch. Now on Saturday, I did a 40-mile round trip on the bike.
Wow!
But you say wow. Just wait a minute. I went 20 miles to meet up with my brother-in-law, who was riding to our house from where he lives. Now I'm keeping it a little bit suspect at the moment because he's training to ride a long distance. So he'd actually already ridden 60 miles by the time I met up with him. So I did 40. He ended up doing 80 miles. Now this is his training because he's for I think it's the Sue Rider. It's a cancer charity over here in the UK. And he's riding from Land's End, which is the bottom southwest tip of the UK, up to the highest tip on land in the UK, which is John O'Groats. And he's going to be doing it with a friend over 9 days, which means they've got to be riding about 100 miles a day.
Wow.
So he's training up for that, which he's doing in a few weeks. If I can find it, I'll find his donation page. But
we'll throw a link in for it.
And we'll throw a link in there. But
he can't go any farther because it's Land's End.
Well, he's starting at Land's End, but all right, yeah, I'll go with it. He's making it hard though, because for anybody who knows where he's starting at the bottom and ending at the top, so he's uphill all the way. I don't know why people don't do it the other way around. It's all downhill then.
Yeah, yes. That's the way I would go.
Oh, and we've probably been. Yes, I've been on holiday, haven't I, as well? Because we've been doing our walking. We've been walking the Welsh coastal path as well.
Well, 2 weeks ago we talked about that.
Yeah.
When so we did the last show.
Yeah, that's yes. I'm. My brain's going. I'm afraid my memory's gone. There you go. So, what have you got going on, Guy? Because do you know what? It sounds just a tad different.
There's a reason. There's a reason for that. And I know that this will almost be a cliche, but I'm doing something that I haven't done in a while, at least 2 weeks, and changing the way that I record the podcast. In the past, I know. And well, to be fair, this is like the first big change in the way that I have my recording set up in probably a year. I change my microphones all the time, but I've been doing it the same way for a long time because it worked. Usually we had an occasional problem where either I couldn't hear or Gaz couldn't hear. And I think it was mostly just because I had too much going on. So I've simplified the way that I'm doing things. So in the past, I've used Rogue Amoeba's Loopback to shunt audio from a mic, a soundboard app, and Google Chrome back to Chrome as a Mix Minus, Apple AirPods, and my audio editor Hindenburg. There were lots of fiddly bits, Gaz, and even though the setup was used from week to week, any changes in between the time that we recorded and the next time usually meant that things wouldn't work when we would try to record the next time. So to make things simpler, I'm using, and I used to do this in the past, but I think we had problems with audio lag, and we'll see how it works this time. I'm using Audio Hijack to do the heavy lifting, mixing, and recording. And the only thing I'm using Loopback for is to route audio to Chrome so that Gaz can hear me through StreamYard. Now, the other reason why it might be sounding a little bit different is I'm using a different microphone. I know. One of my New Year's resolutions was to stop buying microphones, and I've blown that so many times so far that it almost doesn't matter anymore. But in this particular case, it was Gary Apter's fault. He sent me a link to Monoprice. It was this whole podcasting setup. And as a matter of fact, let me I'm going to bring in a second camera here. And unless you're actually watching this on the YouTube channel, you might not see it, but I'm going to bring it in and I'm going to go solo. All right. So here's the microphone, the cheapy ass boom arm, and the cheapy ass pop filter that it comes with. And there was one more piece of gear that it came with, which were these headphones. And it's all called Stream Right, Stride Right, Stage Right. It's all called Stage Right from Monoprice. And it's a whole podcasting setup with everything that you need. USB microphone, the boom arm, this pop filter, and I don't have it on, but it also came with this right here, you know, the little microphone condom, I guess is kind of what I think of them as. Mm-hmm. Normal price is about $80, which is a ridiculous price because the only part of this that is not too bad is the microphone itself. The boom arm is like your standard cheap ass kind of boom arm that you get for $14-15. They're all, of course, made in China. The one thing that makes this one different, and you can't really tell, is that the USB cable that's going to the microphone, it is actually routed through the arm all the way down, which I thought was not a bad touch. But was it worth? Would it be worth $80? I don't think it is. So let me switch back to our dual setup. There we go. But when Gary Apter sent me the link, it was on sale for $55, and it currently is right now as well.
And you just couldn't resist it, could you?
No, and I really should have, because $55 for this entire setup is not a bad price, because the microphone actually sounds pretty decent. I've got a little bit of bass and treble on it. I've got a little bit of compression on it, but it's really, for the most part, just the raw microphone going into the computer over USB. And the boom arm isn't bad. The pop filter is like nothing to write home about. And the one thing that I wish it had that it doesn't have is a shock mount, because this thing picks up.
Yes.
Everything.
You could certainly hear that.
Yeah. So and there'll be a link in the show notes for the bundle. And the weirdest thing about this, Gaz, is Monoprice does not sell this microphone by itself. The only way to get this microphone that I have found is to get it through this bundle. And honestly, it's a nice microphone, but it's not $80 worth of nice USB microphone with the other stuff. Because I got to tell you, I've tried using these headphones right here, complete and utter garbage. They sound like crap. I picked up these headphones right here. These are from. Yeah, let's play. What has Guy wasted his money on this week?
Yes.
This is from a company called, I've never heard of them before. One Audio, and they're like $30 headphones. They've got really, really nice cushioning, and for $30, they sound pretty good. Do they sound as good as as I reach over here, my Sony MDR 7506s? Hell no. But they're also like less than half the price. So if you're interested in something like this, and you can use this for Zoom calls or Skype calls or whatever it is that you want to use this stuff for, if you can get it on sale for $55, that's a pretty good price. If it pops up and saying it's $80, I wouldn't bother. But that's what I'm using this week.
Excellent. That's all really good stuff. And while you were chatting, I was desperately see if I could find this link, but I'm not. So I'm struggling. So I'll leave that alone.
Oh, is that for his?
I'll perhaps put it in another week's once I get the actual link. So that's poor planning on my side. So, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Well, that's like what, 2 weeks away? the event itself?
I think it's 2 weeks away that he's actually doing it. But what I have planned is Gaz's snippets. Just look at that, just so smooth.
Stuck the landing. That's what you did.
Yeah. Okay, so now obviously there are some of these from a couple of weeks ago, so you'll have to excuse me if some of this is something which you've already heard about, folks. But anyway, Apple acquisitions significantly decline. The regulatory filing show. Apple's spending on acquisitions has significantly declined over 2021 and 2022. The company's regulatory filing show Apple invested some $1.5 billion on acquisitions in fiscal 2020, but that figure plummeted to just $33 million in 2021 and $169 million in the first 9 months of 2022.
What does that tell you?
Well, it could mean one or two things. It could mean they've got everybody they want. Can't think that that's the case. It could be that they have seen a drop-off in the futures market and deciding just to hold on to some of that money. We do know that Apple likes to play it safe. It may mean that they're spending some of that money in buying back shares to make the company stronger. You know, your guess, Guy, is probably better than mine. Let's put it that way. I'm going to move on because this is snippets. iCloud class action lawsuit sees Apple agree to pay $14.8 million to the paid tier subscribers. So this was an iCloud class action lawsuit. It's been settled out of court with Apple agreeing to pay $14.8 million to US residents subscribing to one of the paid storage tiers during a specific time period. There you go. So if that was you, yes, yeah.
I'm sure you'll get a buck or two. Hey,
Izzy Miyake, the Japanese designer of Steve Jobs' mock turtlenecks, unfortunately died at 84 a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, no more turtlenecks for anyone. That's what I say. Ever. Apple and Kim Kardashian collaborate on a unique Beats Fit Pro line. There you go. Look out for those because they'll only be more than every other. We're doomed. Yes, we are doomed. Hang on a minute. I've got that somewhere, haven't I? I've now got to find it. If it's in that one, is it that one? I'm going to take far too long to find this. Mad doomed. Here we go.
We're doomed.
There you go. That's what I needed for that. Adorable Ted Lasso figurines available for a limited time from Fisher Price. Now that probably has passed now because
hold on.
Roll back. Do you want me to run that past you again? Okay.
Yes, please.
Adorable Ted Lasso figurines are available for a limited time from Fisher Price.
Okay.
Yeah, that was back on the 9th of August. What are we now? The 21st. So according to how limited that time is, they may or may not still be limited. Strong Foxconn earnings helped by iPhone 13, but still working on reducing reliance on Apple, i.e., what people are saying is Foxconn's reliance on Apple being a one-trick pony is something that they shouldn't be doing. Now, is that Foxconn trying to lower the reliance on Apple, or the fact that Apple are already trying to be less dependent on Foxconn as a manufacturer? Who knows? I'm just speculating.
Or possibly in a particular country.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Ming Chi Kuo. Apparently, the iPhone 14, the iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max become more expensive. Now, what they're talking about there, are you going to talk about this or not? I'll leave it there. Next section. Apparently, Apple has celebrated 40 years in Australia with initiatives to help the local community. That was a week or so ago. Apple celebrated 40 years of operations in Australia. Good on you, mate. Apple are expected to launch a foldable phone in 2020. I love this. I love this headline, Guy. Right?
Come on. Right. Bring it to me.
Apple expected to launch. So Apple are expected to launch a foldable phone in 2024 or 2025.
It'll be there with the car. Right there with the car.
Just, you know.
Oh, and the flat screen TV.
Just crazy. A man who stalked an ex-girlfriend with an Apple AirTag has been sentenced to jail. Good. That's all we're going to say on that. Apple cracks down on unofficial developer beta software sites. Apple is cracking down on websites that share download links for Apple beta software, such as Mac OS 13 Ventura, OS 16, etc., etc. I'm not going to mention the websites, but they are cracking down on those unofficial sources. Apple not expecting drop in iPhone demand and asks suppliers to make 90 million iPhone 14 units. I love the numbers that these people come out with, and I love the accuracy of these headlines, and then it gets blown away. Absolutely incredible.
And you know, here's the crazy thing about that. It isn't that Apple has asked them to make 90 million phones?
90 million.
That's like nothing for Apple. 90 million phones, they can do that in 1 or 2 quarters at worst.
Well, yeah, but that's the pre-orders, guy, you know. Anyway, I just like the fact that analysts and, you know, reporters are coming up with some of these figures. Shazam for Mac has been updated with a new icon and Apple Silicon support. Whoopee-doo. What I say to that. And that's what Guy says to it. And he said it again. He's that impressed. Apple is still trying to keep up with M2 MacBook Air demand almost a month after launch. Well, that's good for Apple. Yeah, and then I got another one. Apple orders at least 90 million iPhone units from assemblers. Yeah, whoopee-doo. Apple shares an ad promoting Apple One subscription service. It's funny, I put this in on the 12th of August so I could watch it. It's now the 21st. I haven't watched it. Apple rules the S&P 500 with the highest weighting for any company in over 40 years. Apple, the world's largest company by stock market value at 2.7 trillion, this week accounted for 7.3% of the S&P 500. That's quite a lot. Are we surprised at that, Guy?
No, not really. No, it's really, really rich people moving their really, really rich money around. And
yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't affect me in the slightest.
Apple has removed a network location feature in macOS Ventura. Ooh. Probably because it wasn't safe. Zoom. Now, I'm a bit late on this for you now, folks, I think, although this came out on the 15th of August, but Zoom has rolled out a fix for a vulnerability that can give anyone control of your Mac. So if you use Zoom and you've got Zoom on your system, get it updated now. No, and we are quite happy, folks, for you to actually pause us, go to your Mac, get it updated, and then carry on listening. However, if you're listening to us on your iOS device, you can keep playing. Walk over to your Mac and update it. There you go. That's how.
Well, I mean, that's what they have to do is turn it off of your Mac, turn it onto your phone, fix your Mac, and then come back to it later.
Well, it's not fix your
Mac.
Excuses. Fix Zoom is what I'd say there.
Yeah.
Apple's 30 million employee bag search lawsuit settlement given approval. So last year, Apple agreed to pay retail workers in California 30 million to settle a lawsuit over its bag check policy. That settlement has now been approved by a U.S. District Court judge. There you go. If you want to know, actually, basically, it's an average of $1,328 per worker, I believe. However, the lawyers in the case will rake in 10 million.
Of course they will. Well, of course.
Apple has laid off 100 recruiter contractors. So the people who it gets to recruit its staff have been laid off. Not good.
Who watches the watchman?
Well, yeah.
Who recruits the recruiters?
Who recruits the recruiter?
Yeah. That's how that goes.
Apple tells staff to come into office for at least 3 days a week. A memo from boss Tim Cook backs down from earlier attempt to get all employees in on the same 3 fixed days. Apple has told its employees they must come into the office for at least 3 days a week from next month in an effort to restore in-person collaboration. Yeah.
Welcome to the rest of the world.
Yeah, there's two sides to the coin on that one, and I think everybody's having that debate at the moment, aren't they? Give it another year or so, and most people will be back in offices a lot more regularly.
I never stopped. I was basically the only one there for 2 years.
Yeah, you're such a good boy. Apple have reportedly threatened to fire an engineer over a viral TikTok. I didn't pick this up. Well, I did pick it up in my snippets, but I hadn't heard about it until actually I heard Mac and Forth talk about it. And apparently Apple is reportedly threatening to fire an employee over her posting in TikTok with iPhone security tips and advice. Now, from what I heard on Mac and Forth, they were talking about the fact that this person was giving reasonable and non-linked advice about security for that person using, guess what, an Apple device. I haven't heard any more on this, but I've got a feeling Apple will get quite a lot of bad press if that occurs. There was some speculation, certainly from the Mac and Forth gang, that this is probably middle management gone crazy, Jobsworth sort of stuff. Well, let's hope it was. Let's hope
somebody needs to sit down that middle manager and go, look, all she did was give them good advice and not to give out personal information to someone who
but
had
she didn't do it
phone.
in an Apple manner. It wasn't professional enough, apparently. Apple are to collect local tax on streaming services in Chicago starting next month. Apparently, Apple last month settled a lawsuit against Chicago as the city imposed a new local tax for streaming services.
What has that got to do with Apple?
Well, it's the fact.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm thinking streaming services like what I'm doing right now, but you're talking about like Apple TV type of streaming services.
Yes. There you go. So good old Chicago.
Yeah, I hope you guys in Chicago are listening and that your local leaders are trying to make you pay more for your streaming services. This has nothing to do with Apple or Google or Amazon or Hulu. This is your local politicians.
Two things are assured in life, Guy: death and taxes. Apple AirTag
and bad Chicago politicians.
Apple AirTag leads to the arrest of an alleged serial luggage thief. So Florida police, good old Florida police have arrested.
Yay, hometown. Go.
Home state, really, isn't it? Have arrested a suspected serial luggage thief, an airline subcontractor, thanks to an Apple Tag item tracker. Yes, very good.
Why was he stealing cereal?
I don't know. Perhaps he gets hungry in the morning. That's all I can say to him. UK carrier EE is the first to include the Apple One bundle as part of a mobile plan. I have seen that because I am with EE and I've seen that advertised. But they're the first to do the complete Apple One bundle. Others will follow. Riveting, isn't it?
That's like $30. So their prices can't be that great if they're giving Apple $30 of their subscription fee.
Well, it's a way to tie you in for a couple of years, isn't it? That's what they're looking at. I haven't looked at the bundle costs. So, Apple has announced GarageBand remix sessions featuring Katy Perry, K-pop, and 17. Group 17. They're a group called 17.
There was like a band that was known for not like grunge rock, but for like a hardcore. I can't even think of what's the guy's name?
Let me move on then, because we could be here some time, folks.
Yeah.
Us old people. Moving on, Apple has released a trailer for its next original movie, The Greatest Beer Run Ever, starring Zac Efron. Not sure quite what that's going to be. I think it's a bit.
Did you watch Luck?
2. I haven't watched Luck yet, but I have got a recommendation, which I haven't put into our show notes yet, for one of the Apple TV Plus shows, which really enjoyed. Apple has released Watch OS 8.7.1 for Apple Series 3. They've also released Monterey 12.5.1, which has got some security updates. I would advise you get it. They've also released iOS 15.6.1 and iPad OS 15.6.1, and they've got some important bug fixes in them as well. Get them, upload them.
Yeah, do not wait. There are some serious security issues related to why they pushed those out the way they did.
Yeah.
So don't wait.
Now, I think I know that you're going to be touching this in the next section, but here is from one of the news feeds I've got. Apple targets, so it's official, September 7th for iPhone 14 launch in a flurry of new devices. Yeah, okay. And here's another little bit of I don't do rumors, but some of these just could be interesting. Gene Munster.
Oh, you gave me like zero prep for that.
Do you want me to start? Gene Munster, Apple says Apple. Yeah, Gene Munster.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Apple CEO Tim Cook will retire as soon as 2026.
Okay, thanks, Gene. Hey, where's that TV you were talking about, Gene? We're still kind of waiting on that TV.
Yeah, is it coming anytime soon?
Yeah.
India are considering new rules that could force Apple to adopt USB-C on the iPhone. I've got a feeling the USB-C isn't far away for the iPhone anyway.
Yeah.
I'm honest.
I don't really think that's going to be that big of an issue.
Apple Pay, guy, is becoming ubiquitous now.
What?
It's now activated on 75% of iPhones. Got to say, I use Apple Pay all the time.
All the time.
Yep. Streaming services popularity surpassed cable for the first time in the US. Potential growth for Apple TV Plus. Of course it is. We know that. I was quite interested in that first bit. I was quite interested in the first bit about the streaming services have surpassed cable, because cable was quite massive in the US, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. Cord cutting, it's like a thing. So a lot of people are doing it now. And it doesn't help that cable companies are charging $200+ a month for their services.
Yeah.
So you kind of screwed yourself, guys. Not feeling any sympathy.
Apple ranked tops for customer satisfaction by a JD Power for the second year. Not a surprise. Vietnam are to make Apple Watch and MacBook for the first time ever. Apple is into now. So it says Vietnam to make. So it says confirmed, right? To make the Apple Watch and the MacBook for the first time ever. Apple is in talks to make Apple Watches and MacBooks in Vietnam for first time ever. Anyway, there we go.
Can't happen soon enough.
TikTok's in-app browser reportedly capable of monitoring anything you type.
Yeah.
Not Apple related. Not happy with it. Don't use TikTok. We'll never use TikTok. Don't like TikTok. That's all I'm saying to that.
No TikTok
kids,
for me.
get off to TikTok and use something else.
Or at least don't use their browser.
Yeah, true. Apple criticized for fundamentally misguided approach to Stage Manager in iPad OS 16. So they're not feeling the love for Stage Manager. And I've got to say, when I first saw it, I kind of went, but we'll see. We'll see. What I am happy about is Jetpack Joyride 2 comes to Apple Arcade. I will be getting that and playing that. Apple's financial chief, Luca Mastrei, sells Apple shares worth over $16 million. Good for him. That's all I can say.
I wonder if he knows something that we don't know.
Actually, it was that should have read just under 17 million, because it was 16.9. Yes, very good.
I wish it was 16.9.
Yes, so do I. Apple has extended its repair program for iPhone 12 models with the earpiece sound issues. So this was as of 20th of August. Apple today extended its service program for iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro models experience earpiece-related sound issues. If you've got that and you've still got issues, go get it fixed for free. That one I've already done, so I wasn't sure, so I put it in again. Mac Studio still facing up to 10-week shipping delay, nearly 6 months after launch. Now, I'm not quite sure whether that's possibly problems that Apple are having in the build or they're just selling too many.
I would say it's probably more along the lines they just can't make enough of them because of supply restraints. Or constraints, not restraints.
This story that I've got doesn't really indicate either way, unfortunately, so...
Of course it doesn't.
And that, Guy, that is the end of Gaz's snippets. There you go.
All right. I think that is going to do it for this section, Gaz.
Do you want me to take us out?
Take us out of here.
Okay, everybody listening out there in Poddyland or wherever you are, what we'd like you to do now is, let me just read this off, stand by to stand by. I don't get that, but I'll carry on reading. Because Guy and Gaz, in brackets the G-Men, will be right back. Yes, they will. Was that okay?
Excellent read, sir.
Thank you. Hi, everyone, and welcome to point 2, part 2, the second section, whatever you want to call it, the second half. This is not a game of two halves, I can tell you. They're never the same, ever. Anyway, this is the second section. Apparently, we're going to be talking about whether the iPhone 14 is worth getting, even though we got no idea whether it's worth getting.
Yeah. There was an article in Macworld magazine that I saw on Apple's news site.
And it piqued your interest, didn't it, Guy?
It did. Because everybody this week and next week will be talking about the upcoming event that we don't have any information on, even the time or the date, though we are being told that it's going to be Wednesday. Because Apple does so many events on Wednesday, September 7th, which is actually my son Guy's birthday. And that's just weird because it's almost always on Tuesday since like forever. But getting past that, the really odd thing is that according to the experts, Gaz,
Guy's doing air quotes.
I know, folks. Air quotes. I'm doing air quotes to air quotes.
Yeah.
The regular iPhone 14 won't be that radically different from the iPhone 13. What is being said is that it will have the same processor, and that the Pro line, the same processor, which is the Apple designed A15, and it'll be the Pro line that gets the A16 versions. And this I actually believe. The realities of the cost of manufacturing is going to likely hit us this year for the iPhone with a bump to the price of the base iPhone from $799 to $899. And that doesn't really surprise me, which means that that will be the least expensive iPhone, since I don't think we're going to see an iPhone mini this year.
No, nice.
The Pro line will probably get the same $100 bump, going from $999 US to $1099, and the Max model starting at $1199 US. Now, one of the other rumors is that the notch, which Apple uses to hide the camera and microphones, is going to be smaller, but that this won't extend to the regular iPhone 14, which means there really won't be that much to physically differentiate the iPhone 14 from the 13, other than maybe some colors.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah. Well, I gotta see, Gaz, with the cost going up,
mm-hmm.
and not that much of a physical difference between the regular 13 and the 14. What is there to get people to jump to the new model if they're already on like a 12, which frankly, the 13 wasn't that much different from the 12, or the 13? Why should people go to the 14?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you, especially at this point in time in world history, in terms of possible shortage of money, they may struggle, because if there's no great differentiation apart from those people who can afford it, which is well and good for them, I'm not having a go at them, it's well and good for them, but the numbers of people who will go, do you know what, there's not enough to change it, I'm sticking with what I've got. So I don't think there is a great deal. I, for the first time, am looking at this phone and thinking, I kind of bought it on a 2-year process anyway. So I think I won't be changing this particular
because
phone.
you're on a 13, right?
Yes.
Now,
I've just remembered there's something I need to tell you at the end of this as well about my iPad. No, about my iPad. I'll tell you at the end.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to tell you it in our bit at the start, but I do want to tell you. But I'm on a 13, and it's an iPhone 13 Pro. But I've got a feeling I certainly won't be jumping to a new one.
I can afford a new one. However, I went from a 6 to an 8S or the 8 Plus to an SE SE2. And then last year I bought the 13, this one right here.
Yeah.
I don't buy phones every single year. Part of that is because I don't have kids to pass phones down to. I expect my kids are now in their late 20s, and it's like, you want to buy your own.
You buy it.
Go buy your own phone. And I'm starting to tell them the same thing in regards to, because I'm still paying for their service, guys.
Yeah. Well, I choose to do that because I can get a really good deal with my service and just have them as add-ons, and that's fine. But that will change eventually. But that's kind of why I went for a 2-year deal on this, because I was thinking a couple of things. First of all, getting to that point where I won't be handing it down to my children, because we had quite an elongated transfer. Yes.
I remember.
So the next thing may be that it skips down to Mrs. G and perhaps my dad. So that's only really just 2 jumps, whereas normally it was 3 or 4 jumps. So
for the people all the way down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I was thinking, I'm not sure how well they can improve the camera. That's a biggie. If they do a massive change on the camera, then that is something which might encourage people. But I went with this because I didn't think they'd be able to make much of an improvement on the camera this year.
Yeah, I just don't see a reason for people who already have a 12 or a 13. Now, if you're on an 8 or the 10 or the 11, okay, that's, honestly, that's enough of a jump going to the A15 or the A16 processor to make that leap. But if you're already on a 12 or a 13 and your battery is still good, why change phones other than to have bragging rights that you have the latest phone,
which is what some people do. So that's bully for them.
Yeah. I would rather, at this point, I'm kind of waiting. The next Apple purchase that I make, and because we're pretty much done with this topic, we'll just transition right into this. The next Apple purchase that I make will likely either be like an M2 Mac Mini, or
another one? Oh no, not another one, just an M2 version. Yeah,
the M, because I think that the next one is going to have a lot more ports, which will mean I can probably get rid of at least one auxiliary device that I have on the M1.
Yeah, that's not like you at all, though, is it? Getting rid of devices and cleaning up your act with. Yeah.
No, I just kind of don't do that very often.
No, not at all.
Or get a Mac Studio.
No, you don't need a Mac Studio.
I am so
okay. You
so
don't
tempted
need
by a
it.
Mac
I know you
Studio.
want a Mac Studio, but you don't need
do.
a Mac Studio. That's
Well, I
the
just bought an
difference.
M2 16-inch laptop that I don't
You
particularly
don't
really need.
no.
Though I do have to give myself a little bit of leeway. The laptop I had been using was a 2018 MacBook Air with only 2 USB-C ports.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a little light. So I'm not regretting getting the M1 MacBook Pro because I'll hang on to that thing for probably at least 4 to 6 years. I don't see myself replacing that anytime soon.
Well, I thought I was nearly on for a new iPad the other day because I did have on this iPad that I've got here, which is the standard iPad with the big bezels top and bottom. I had a bit of a scratch on the bottom right-hand corner, which was slightly annoying, but I could live with it.
On the glass or on the back?
On the glass. No, on the glass.
Ooh, okay.
Well, it wasn't too bad. It was almost like a scratch. It was almost like gravel had gone over it. So it wasn't a crack or anything, but you could feel it very slightly. But I could live with that. Then we were down in the garden in the gazebo area. There's a gazebo area of the garden.
Of course.
And it's got a hard floor. And we were eating down there, and I'd taken my iPad because my Wi-Fi goes all the way down my garden. Of course it does. I put the iPad down and didn't quite put it at right angle, and it fell onto the floor. Yes, and there was quite a harsh sound, but I thought that'll be fine. It's never cracked before. It's in this case, although the case really that I've got on it isn't for protective purposes, but it has protected it in certain circumstances. Anyway, I lifted it back at the angle, didn't look at it. We'd finished our meal and was going back up to the house. I picked up my iPad, and then as I slightly angled it, there was a dirty great crack right across the top, and I could feel that, and it was almost a little bit sharp. So being an older iPad, it's not something which actually Apple will fix very cheaply. But I found a place local to us, and they fixed it pretty damn quick. I'm just going to see if it's called Fusion something. I'm just going to see if I can mention their name. They're in Corby. What do you mean no results?
Well, is that a Touch ID model or is that a Face ID model?
This is a Touch ID model.
Okay.
Anyway, they fixed it and did a damn good job. And it was one of the cheapest that I could find because I was looking online. I didn't particularly want to do it myself because I think it's a little bit of a messy job if you haven't got all the tools. And I was quite happy with it. It cost, I think, £65 to get it done.
Was it?
That was it, yeah. And they replaced the glass, and it's working perfectly. Really good job. So,
£65 over $7.99 and up for a new iPad, I think is
it's obviously it's not a new iPad. It's still my same old iPad, but it's working, and it's been working fine. So, absolutely spot on.
But how much would you have had to spend to replace it?
Oh well, quite a lot of money. I would have gone refurbished, of course. You know me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
But it still would have been probably around £500 and up.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Absolutely
so that's
easily.
A good deal.
Yeah. Free Fusion. That's the name of the company. Free Fusion. Are you nodding your head?
I am.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip. Mac on the Safari. I always used to open a link, Guy, by right-clicking and open in new tab. And this also gives you other options like open in new window, etc., etc.
Right.
But you can, though, also, while holding the Command key, click on the link that you want to open in a new tab, and it should open in a new tab. That's if you have the option set in Safari Preferences in the tabs section. So basically go into Preferences, go into the tab sections and set that up. And that's changed my life, I've got to say. Okay, but Guy, what about those times when you forget and think after several click-throughs, when you're on a web page, you do a search, you click on something, you see something else on that page, and you click on something else, and you click on something else, and you find yourself several clicks deep, and you think, I need to get back to my original search. Well, if you press Command plus Option and S, that takes you back to your original search.
Oh, and nice.
That is a bit of a lifesaver. Do you not think?
Oh, I see head nodding.
Yes. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
Well, oh dear. Yeah, it goes on and on and on.
It does. It does. I have a link, not a pic, but a link for this week, Gaz.
Okay.
And Mac gamers will appreciate this link.
Will they?
Both of them. Yes.
Why?
Both
Why?
of them.
Why will they?
Because it is a page that will tell you the compatibility of a bunch of games outside of arcade that will work with the Apple M1 series of computers. And it's MacGamerHQ.com. And the link that I'm talking about will be in the show notes. And it kind of reminded me that even though the vast majority of games that I play via Steam, and it's part of the reason why I bought this little Windows Mini PC, is no longer supported on the Mac, especially since the Mac went to 64-bit. There are still some Steam games that I have that I can play on the Mac. And one in particular, I was playing it this morning, is called Endless. What the hell is it called? Endless something. Endless Sky.
Thingies. Endless
Thingies. Endless Sky. And it's, if you remember, there was a game from Ambrosia Software called Escape Velocity.
Yes. I didn't remember the name, but I remember a game from Ambrosia. Yes.
That is like a newer version of this game, but it plays exactly the same, and it's a fun game. And then also CS:GO will play on your Mac.
Cool.
From Steam. And there's some others too, but those were the two that I already had. So that's
excellent. If
you go to the link that will be in the show notes, that link will take you to the page that will show you all of the games that you can play on your Mac. And don't forget that you can also, if you have some spare cashola, you can go to timeout.com's list of helpful Ukrainian donation sites, including the Ukrainian Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders, which are two very, very good sites to go to donate to help the Ukrainians in their time of need. I don't have a pick this week, Gaz, but it's looking like you do.
Yeah, so basically I did find that Just Giving page from my brother-in-law.
Okay.
And it's basically just if you want to give some money, it's for the Sue Riders ride across Britain, and basically it'll take you to Paul's page, because there's two of them that are doing it. I mean, there's many others doing it as well, but there's two from where he lives doing it, and it's a picture of my brother-in-law, and it's got a picture of him in a t-shirt which says "Never underestimate an old man on a bicycle." So go on, and if you want to give to Sue Ryder, certainly if you're in the UK and you're a supporter of that, they do an awful lot of cancer related help. So just go there, and it's basically more localized to Oxfordshire. So if you're in that area, then certainly help out with their hospices, etc. Yeah, that's me done on that.
And it's for a good cause.
It is.
So go and check that out, please. And I will be giving it in a little bit after we get done recording. We have some feedback this week, Gaz.
We do. Excellent.
We do. From Alex, and it has to do, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the studio display, and I may have been a little harsh.
Oh.
And the things that I said
What about the studio
display?
Oh, well, lots of other people are being quite harsh on it as well.
Yeah, but Alex decided to pick on us.
Well, that's good. Good.
Alex.
Well, thank you, Alex. No, thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
What did Alex say to us? Come on.
What he said was that he is very happy with his studio display.
Good.
The webcam
Excellent.
is fine if you light yourself, and the sound is extraordinary compared to anything else that's similar. The display to work on photos and video is fine. It's not a high-end display, but it's about 5 to 10 pounds cheaper than a high-end display.
5 to 10,000 cheaper.
Yeah, I was
Wow.
I was kind of thinking about that, and it was like, so you're telling me that a high-end display is like 10 to 15,000 quid? That's a lot of money for a display.
Yeah. Well, if you need a high-end display for video and photo work, then you need a high-end video display to do that work. So thank you, Alex.
Stuff.
If it works for you, that's great by us. Yeah. So don't be so harsh next time, Guy.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Alex.
Yeah.
Now
absolutely.
I'm ashamed.
So you should be.
And if you would like to help me get a high-end display, all you have to do is go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/MacParrot. You can buy me a coffee that will go right to getting that 15,000 pound display. Coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot. Or you can pay a pal at paypal.me/MacParrot to buy a 15,000 pound studio display. That's all you've got to do. Now, Gaz, if people wanted to contact you and say, what the hell does Guy need a 15,000 pound display for? How would they do so?
Well, what they need to do is certainly send an email to gazjz at mymac.com or on the Twitters, twitter.com/gazmazjz. MAZ, or on the Twitters for both of us, twitter.com/Guy and Gaz, GUYNDGAZZ.
Cars.
You can also send.
It's like the Doppler effect. Cars.
You can also send an email to feedback at mymac.com. That's FWDBACK at mymac.com.
He says like
Guy.
a ventriloquist, but my lips are moving.
I think, did you hear that?
No,
I didn't think you did.
His name was Guy.
Right.
Guy says,
Do we know it was a guy?
Yeah.
Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain. He's the guy.
Yeah.
Guy's the one. Guy.
Guy?
You remember Guy?
Guy.
Any guy.
I don't know who this guy is.
No, nor do I.
You said it, Guy.
Yeah.
You got it, Guy?
Yeah, you got it, Guy. Anyway,
No fooling.
if you want,
An email.
taking off the tender hooks again.
how would they do it?
Oh, all they would have to do is send me an email to either podcast@vertshark.com, which is back up and working. Thank you very much.
Hang on a minute.
Or guy@mymac.com. You can also reach me on the Twitters. I am both Mac Parrot and Vert Shark over there on that Twitter thing. We have a Skype telephone number, Gaz.
We do.
We do. It's kind of lonely these days.
Lonely.
I'm so lonely. And that telephone number is 1 or +1 outside of the United States, 703-436-9501. That number again is 1 or +1 outside of the United States, 703-436-9501. Or if putting zeros and ones in front of a telephone number seems to be some kind of problem for you, just go right to the Skype application and dial 703-436-9501 directly, and it will go right to us. And as long as I remember, I'll have it on the show the next time we cord one because that's what I do, Gaz. It's
Yes,
what
you
I
do.
do.
You do.
So I would like to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who downloads and flippin' listens. You don't even get to download and not listen. You download and you listen because that's how it works.
You
to the
tell 'em.
MyMac.com podcast, and we will be ever so grateful unless you don't.
Unless you don't.
Unless you don't. But you don't have to. But Gaz, I think that we're good enough. And completely off tangent here. Loved the Find My Wilf pictures that you were putting on Facebook. There was a couple of them I was like, I know that dog is there somewhere, but I don't know where.
What I like about that is the fact that it's more difficult because you can't zoom in with any great granularity on Facebook as much as you can on the pictures that I have. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So, but with that in mind, Gaz, I think that we're good enough.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
And that I think that this week, I can't speak for shows
Any
that
other
are coming
week.
up. No, it's just this week. That we were smart enough and that if you can find Wilf, gone it. It makes no sense. That people like us.
Sure, Calzella, iPhone 14 Liala, Chat Jiang Chuan, Atabe Ini Thi I Soi, the Ang Anilo Le Cas or Case Fa Lila, Ili Ti Se Maro.
Yeah.
Blimey.
Damn right.
I don't know what that was. But anyway, Guy, I made a pencil with 2 erasers. It was pointless. End.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home.